guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, please press the subscribe button and give this video a like if you want to see more videos like this. So today I'm here with my friend Bridget, and the topic of this video is going to be living with bipolar disorder. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that I'm diagnosed with this, and I thought it'd be a good idea to get someone else who also has a similar experience to just share what it's like to have this illness and how we both cope, because obviously everyone deals with it differently. So Bridget is going to read out an artwork that she created that is about bipolar. So do you want to read this?
Yeah, so I can, that's my little
Beautiful
poster there.
artwork.
So it just goes some people say it's just like the weather. It's not at all like that when you throw it all together, because once you start off you think it's just you, boom, you're on top without any clue. You're impulsive and reckless without any thought, and it's sad not knowing that you're not really taught. You think it's a demon, but it's an illness inside. You want to tell someone, but you need them to confide. You think you've reached sleep, but without any sleep, depending on how high you fly, you'll fall just as deep. And in the ocean you'll go, floating away, you'll keep going deeper, your life will turn grey. Rock bottom will hit, and you'll need a friend, hoping they'll stay with you till the end. Hey, this might seem like the usual ways, but this feeling inside you will stay for days. The pills that you take will help you manage, but too much or too little can cause heaps of damage. You'll have heaps of mood swings just in a day, and you'll get asked a lot if you're okay. And then there comes a day when you're feeling afloat, you'll swim, kick and fight your way to the boat. And once you get there, you think you're set free, but when the next day comes, you will partly see. You could wake up as Eeyore or Tigger. You'll spend all day thinking what was the trigger. Your thoughts will continue to race, jumping up and down all over the place. You'll zone out and forget things most of the time, mainly hoping that you didn't cause any crimes, because by the end of the day, you'll be mentally exhausted, praying away, hoping your day wasn't recorded. You'll get paranoid and feel like you're being watched, but you'll still carry on doing things botched. I guess you should know what this really is. I just really hope that you got the gist. Let me just say, I lost my controller. You should know now, I've got bipolar. So
Yeah, that is so good. And I remember when...
End of that.
I remember when I kind of first was getting to know you, and we were under that team, YP. They had that printout and they had your poem on it. And I remember reading it and being like, oh my gosh, this is so relatable and stuff. And I think not everyone who has bipolar is creative, but I feel like it's definitely heightened creativity, because I don't know, maybe you just kind of feel a lot more than what most people do. So I have a couple of questions that Bridget and I are going to answer, and we're just going to kind of have a conversation about this. So my first question is, how would you describe bipolar disorder? This can just be a short sentence or something, a basic.
Moody as shit.
Yeah, that does
It's a mood
describe it.
disorder.
Yes.
Yeah, we have two poles. We're either hypomanic or very, very depressed, and there's different levels of bipolar. There's bipolar 1, 2, and...
Isn't it called cyclomania?
There's something else.
There's one more. We're sorry that we can't remember it. We're
I'm
not
type 1.
professionals.
Yeah, I'm type 1 and she's type 2.
Yeah,
so
I'm
this
type
is
2.
from our experience.
Yeah. So basically the difference, although my diagnosis could be changing because of my recent episode, but the main difference between type 1 and 2 is that type 1 you have full-on mania, and you can generally have more manic episodes than depressive, and type 2 you generally would have more depressive and a lower form of mania. But obviously with both they have different challenges, and so if you're experiencing more mania, it can be really dangerous, and if you're experiencing a lot of really bad depression, obviously things like suicide can come into it. So the second question is, when were you first diagnosed, and did you agree that you had the disorder? Because I know that sometimes professionals can tell you things and you're like,
no, I don't.
that is not me. It's, you feel offended that they're suggesting that.
Yeah. So I was living on the Gold Coast at the time, and I hit a very low point in my life, and they didn't call it a depressive episode at the time. I was admitted for, I think I was only in there for a week or so, but I ended up moving up to Townsville, and it wasn't until 2017 December that I had my first manic episode after experiencing drugs.
Yeah.
Acid.
Yeah.
I tried acid, and that triggered my manic episode.
Yeah, so as we know, like, that can be a trigger, like, if you are involved in drugs, like, especially if you have, like, a deep, what is the word, like, disposition for it, so you can already have the illness and then something can trigger it off, like, in case, you know.
So drug-induced bipolar,
Yeah. So, for me, I was diagnosed in August last year, but for me, like, I feel like I've been experiencing symptoms of this since I was probably around, like, 15 maybe. But it wasn't like, I don't think I would have been diagnosed at that time because it wasn't like as progressive, but I definitely would notice, I think I mentioned this in my last video, where I would have periods of time where I'd be really, really happy and like getting heaps of stuff done and be really positive and like staying up, and sleep's always been a problem. And then I would get like really depressed, and I would like self-harm and use all these unhealthy coping mechanisms, and I'd get so confused all the time with why like I felt so up and down all the time. And you know, I was told all the time, like, stop being, this also is probably because I have BPD, but everyone would be like, stop being so dramatic, like, why are you always so moody, like, just those type of things.
And it would annoy you because you're like, you know who I am. Like.
Yeah, and like, to you, you're just like, well, like, how does everyone else function with these emotions? But it's because they're not experiencing the same, like, heightened
intensity of them.
Yeah, so I think that can be really frustrating, like, if you're even a kid and you're being told that all the time, it can be kind of like invalidating as well, like you feel like your emotions aren't, you know, being validated by people around you. Yeah. Sorry, number 3 was, how has bipolar affected your life? So this can be like in any area, like financial, relationship-wise.
Yeah, so I've just generally been bad with finances. If I have money, I spend it.
Same.
Just impulsive buy. I'm like, alright, I have this. What can I do with this now? Relationships, that can go 2 ways. Like, I've strengthened relationships from episodes, like from being in hospital and stuff like that, and meeting people through the mental health community. But yeah, when it comes to personal relationships, it is really hard. It's really hard, especially like communicating with what's going on inside your head, and you're trying not to put that into it because you just want to, you know, have fun and spend good quality time with this person, but your head is just like 3 blocks down doing 12s.
Yeah, I feel the same. Like, it can be hard, like, whether it's, like, romantic or just, like, with friends and family and stuff, like, it can be really difficult as well. And, like, if, you know, if, like, you're feeling depressed, like, you want to, like, withdraw and you don't want to, like, do stuff with people and see them, and so that can cause problems. And then if you're manic, you know, you may behave in ways that are uncharacteristic of you, and then you may do something that upsets other people. Like, I know with me that if I'm starting to feel
sorry people
we apologize now, like, if I'm starting to feel like hypomanic or manic, like, generally my social filter kind of goes and things just come out of my mouth, and I really don't mean them, but it just comes out, and people probably get a bit hurt and offended sometimes, and I generally have strong opinions, but I can keep them, you know, I know when to say things and when not. But if I'm like having an episode that kind of goes, and often like my mom or someone will have to be like, oh, you need to, like, you know, tone it down a bit.
And that's just like my poem, like losing the controller, like you just, you can't, like
the part of your brain, I'm not like a professional,
but not professionals here.
The part of your brain that does control like your emotions and like kind of being able to like think things through, and like the whole side that controls impulse control, I think that's like really impacted when you're when you have bipolar, because obviously like you struggle to have impulse control, and that's why you may, like, you don't really think before you do things. It's kind of just like a thought and then you do it, or maybe you're not even aware of what your thoughts are because they're going so fast, like you can't even,
or you're aware of every single outcome and you're like, this is the best one.
It's like you feel like, for me, I kind of describe to people like you waking up on, like when you're a kid and you wake up on Christmas morning and it's like everything is so exciting and like you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is the best day of my life. That's kind of how it feels like.
That's true.
But I feel like for me though, as it goes on, it turns into more like irritation and like anger and like grumpiness.
Yeah.
And it's just like you can't sit still, and it just gets worse as it goes.
And if you don't manage that, you become very aggressive.
Yeah, and you can get very paranoid too, like thinking that people are after you and stuff. Yeah.
Load.
Yeah, and that is not a nice feeling. Like just living in like that constant fear that like people are kind of out to get you. So the next question is, do you recognize early warning signs that you're getting unwell, or like do other people have to tell you?
From my experience, I've had to try and pick up on those myself. So with YP, we did early warning signs of like a month, 3 weeks.
Yeah, I did that too. So
like that,
a little thing here, we're both under the same like treatment team. So if we say it's something called YP, it's just like a team we were under, and that's how we met. So yeah. And I'm so glad I met you.
What were we saying?
Early warning signs.
Yes.
Like, do you recognize them?
So I can sometimes feel when I'm a bit off, and I will mention it to someone. But if someone else goes, "Oh, Bridget, you're being a bit this way," I tend to loop on that, and I'm like, "Oh, am I being that way?" And then I self-evaluate my whole life basically, and I'm like, am I really being this way? And then I end up being that way more.
Yeah, because you're focusing on it so much.
Yeah. It's like
you almost like think yourself into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like if I start to feel like something's going downhill a bit, I'm the same. I'll start to like really think about it, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, like is something wrong? Am I just happy? Like sometimes it's hard to know whether you're just in a good mood or if it's a warning sign.
Yeah.
And if you like overanalyze it, you kind of become a bit like all the time you're like, oh my gosh, something's wrong.
And then you become anxious because you're being cautious of all of your emotions, what you say, what you just...
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that.
It can be all up in your head, but we don't like being told that.
Yeah.
It is,
and
but
it
it's
can
not.
be offensive too, like, I know, like, people can say this out of, like, genuine concern, but, like, if people say to you, like, oh, like, have you stopped your medication or something, like, to us that can maybe come across a bit offensive, like, you know.
Like, am I doing something wrong?
Yeah, but people can have, like, good intentions with that. I find, like, unless you're somebody, like, unless it's, like, my mum or someone really close to me, like, I would prefer people not to say that to me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I generally now I can notice if it's, like, something's wrong. But before I knew I had bipolar, like, I couldn't really pick up on, like, warning signs because I didn't know they were warning signs. But yeah, I'm the same, like, I had to go through and, like, pick out, like, what are my main warning signs. And I noticed, like, for me, probably, like, stress and not getting enough sleep is, like, a major thing.
Yeah, diet.
Like, generally trigger me.
Diet. For me, I smoke a lot of marijuana, so weed impact, like, how much I'm smoking also impacts me.
Yeah.
And living alone, it is hard to... not resort to that, so finding friends that will, you know, get out of the house is really beneficial. Like, and even just doing activities like down at Headspace or any art group and whatnot, you can create something beautiful.
We both did this really cool art group, and I love yours with all the glitter to print down it and stuff.
So they named it Torn, which I completely understand why they named it that now thinking about it.
It is.
But yeah, I've got some, they're my scars.
Yes. Yeah, we both did like this art group, like abstract art, and it was really good, and I think we both like got a lot out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
So that actually kind of comes into the next question, like how do you manage your illness? So this could be like therapy, medication, arts, like anything really.
One step ahead of you.
Yeah, we're prepared for this.
How do I manage my illness? I think it's all about having like the right connections, like the right support group, the right friends around, and also just being able to manage like just like your home life and like what you're doing with yourself. Having a clean space at home is really, like, it really helps a lot. And sometimes when it gets to the dark days, it's really hard to actually pick yourself up and go, all right, I need to clean this mess so my mess up here is okay to be here. And I think that's the biggest struggle. Like, I'm so grateful that my mum was there to reach out to, and she knew what my unit looked like, so she was like, all right, Bridget, what is to the left of you right now? And she would go, all right, explain what is there. Does that belong there? No. Okay, where does it go? And then just slowly doing parts of the house, and that just hit me in the heart, like.
Yeah, it shows that people care, and like people like really underestimate, like, if you're trying to help someone, like whether they have mental illness or not, like just those basic things like cleaning your room or cleaning your house or just
getting dressed
helping you to pick out an outfit or taking you to a doctor's appointment or something like that can be like so big and can just be like a really good thing for the person, because like you're showing that you just care about them on like just like even a basic level. Because often it can be really hard to get the motivation to do those things yourself. And so like I still live at home, and so like I'm really grateful. Like sometimes my sister will just like help me clean my room. Like one time she even washed my hair for me, which was like super nice of her. So just things like that.
Yeah, there's times like those where we
you
just
can't even
don't
wash your hair.
Nah.
Yeah, and you just need that help. Like I find that's really good. But yeah, for me, like I suppose my main things would be kind of like what you said, like having a clean space and having a good support system. And then for me, like I think both of us, like medication really helps, and we both like really need that to be able to function. And
no shame.
No, yeah,
medications
like,
are
never
great.
feel ashamed about being on medication. Like I know that it's probably helped both of us like tremendously, because if we weren't on it, like I know times when I've stopped it, which I wasn't meant to do, and like it just went very bad. So yeah. The next question is, have you ever been hospitalized, and if so, do you think it helped or did it hinder you? Because I know like it can be like traumatizing, and sometimes it can actually do like more harm than good.
Yes, I have been hospitalized a few times. I didn't have the greatest experience in the high dependency unit, which when I did have another episode, they put me in there and I completely disassociated and didn't know who my support worker was. I didn't know where I was, and that came from trauma as well. But the low dependency unit, you know, they are helpful in certain ways. Like, it's not always what you want. It's not about you, which sometimes you go in there thinking it is, because you're in this manic hyper. I'm superwoman.
Yeah, I'm amazing. It's all about me.
Yeah. So like just knowing that, you know, that everyone in there is going through something similar to you, and that you're all there as, you know, a team, a family, and we're going to get through this together, you know, we're going to find our way out of here. And I think building those friendships helps a lot with that. I know from experience, one of the first times I was hospitalised in the low dependency unit, I was very touchy-feely, and I had to get moved to AUDS, which is the Adult Independency Unit Department. Something?
I don't know what it's called either.
AUDS, it's for
I know what it is, but
under
I
18.
don't know. I know what you mean, but I can't think of the name.
Yeah, it's like they're connected to YP. Sometimes if they feel like it's necessary, they'll put.
Yeah, especially if you're young. Like we're only in our early 20s.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, so
the vulnerability is major.
Well, for me, I haven't been ever in the like acute unit or in that one in the public system. I have been in a private hospital, which like I'm really grateful that I was able to go in there. The first time I went because I was like having really bad like depressive episode, but later on it was they kind of came to the conclusion it was more like BPD symptoms than bipolar. But the recent time I went in for only a week, but because I was having like a manic episode. But the thing with this is because it's like private, you have to like it's like voluntary, so you can technically leave like whenever you want, like even if they say to you we don't want you leaving, but yeah, so you could leave. But if I knew that if I didn't want to go in there, but I knew if I didn't, they said like you're going to end up having to go to acute if you don't, because it's just going to get worse. So I had to be kind of convinced to just go in there and get my medication sorted out, and then that really helped me. But yeah, for me, like I kind of find it kind of makes you feel worse, like especially in there for a while, because you feel like you're trapped
if
and
you're in there longer than
you can't
necessary.
like I know for me, like I didn't really get like any visitors like I think the first time I had a friend visit me, which was really nice. And obviously, like, my parents would try, but they work and stuff, so I was kind of like in there on my own all the time, and it's just like the nurses like checking on you or whatever. So yeah, like, I mean, I think it's good for your safety. Obviously, when you're in that position where you can't keep yourself safe, whether you are manic, depressed, or whatever your issue is. But I think like long term, it can be a little bit like traumatizing, and you start to feel a bit bad.
Yeah.
But you know, it has its place, like, you know. But I think like a lot of the time they really try to give you community support as much as they can. But if you get to the point where they can't, like, you know, continue to help you, then you do have to go in patient. So question 7 is, have you ever felt discriminated or stigmatized for having bipolar? Like, has anyone ever said something rude to you, or have you heard like people say something, like, even about like medication and stuff?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
That's good then, yeah. For
No,
me,
I
I feel like, I don't know if this is really stigmatizing. I feel like this is more just like people aren't educated, but I've had a couple people like say to me, like, oh, so what is bipolar? Like, they actually didn't really know, like, generally.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would explain to them, like, in basic terms what it is. But yeah, I've had a couple people say stuff about like medication, which I found a little bit
Like,
offensive, like,
sort of like, you don't need your medication,
yeah.
it's all in your head.
Or
That's
like,
what
I had somebody say to me, and like, they just weren't educated, but they said like, oh, doesn't the medication just like numb your brain so you don't have to deal with it? And I was like, no, it actually doesn't work like that. Like, just a couple things like that have been said to me, and I was like, I don't really know what to say to you, but yeah,
I'm just gonna walk away now.
Yeah, it was a bit awkward.
No offense, but
and like, there were people who I care about, but they just really had no idea because
Yeah.
they'd never dealt with mental health before.
it's all new. It's all new
Yeah.
to everyone. You know?
Yeah, like, I think even my family, like, they knew nothing about mental health, and I'm the only person in my family who has mental health issues, and so, like, my whole family had to really learn, especially my mom, had to really, like, learn on her own how to help me and stuff, because there's just so many, like, misunderstanding, I suppose, and, like, because no one's educated. Like, I really get passionate about having teenagers and, like, people in school, like, learning about mental health, because I know when I was in school, although I was in a Christian school, so you think they would do this, but we were never educated on mental health, or like how to be emotionally well. Yeah, like, or manage stress, and like, you're under so much stress, and obviously that can be a big trigger. And I know when there was stuff going on, like in my grade in like year 9, there was like a lot of, I don't know why this was, there was a lot of people like engaging in self-harm, and the school never brought it up or never did anything about it. So I'm not really sure why that was, but
I remember in grade 12, I was almost like trying to graduate. My grandpa passed away, and I was going on this Cambodia trip overseas for like a week and a bit, and I remember talking to one of the teachers at the schools and going, oh, I'm going to be away for the next week or so, blah, blah. And she's like, well, you can't do that. And I was like, oh, what the shit? And I started crying and crying. And then I went to the office and I called my mom, and then she had to call the office. And it was just like this big pizzazzle. Like, I think like in schools, like, they're not very... Since I've been at school, they're not very... considerate.
Yeah, and accommodating.
Yeah. I feel like they should have more, like, a mental health, like,
yeah,
the
they
chappie,
need like a nurse or somebody, like, yeah, because the chaplains
more
at
than
my
just
school
a chappie.
really didn't know how to help people, and often they would try, but they would actually end up like hurting the person's feelings or offending them, because my sister has told me, like, a lot of her friends have mental health issues, and when they would go to the chaplain, they would say something that really hurt their feelings. So it wasn't really helpful, but yeah.
But on my terms, the chappie was my best friend through high school.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he was like connected to all the groups and stuff, but I didn't actually go to any.
Yeah, I never personally like went to the chaplain. Like, I just like did whatever was going on because I didn't want people knowing. Yeah. So number 8 is, what do you think of the media's portrayal of mental illness and specifically bipolar? Like, do you think they portray it in a good or a bad way?
I don't really hear any anything about it. Like, I'm not usually on my phone that much. I do relate to Demi Lovato a lot.
Yeah, same. I used to love, she was like my queen when I was younger, like, because of her issues.
Yeah, I didn't really know that she had bipolar until I found out I was bipolar, and I was trying to find
some sort of like inspiration.
Some connection and inspiration, and she was the first person that like I was like, she's, you know, I've watched her in like
so
in
did
shows and like I've seen her in a couple of movies, I think, maybe, and you know, it's someone I looked up to. I always wanted to act in movies, so
did I, actually, and I really admired like how she was very like open about it, and she shared like a lot of stuff like most people who have that platform don't even share to that degree. Like, she was very open about it, and like she really advocated for people.
I love that about her.
Yeah. So the last question is, when you were struggling, how can other people best support you? Like,
second last.
Oh yeah, there's one more question.
What was that?
When you're like having a hard time or struggling, like how can other people best support you?
I think just being there and just checking in every day is pretty nice. But I found like going camping and getting away, like just getting out of your home lifestyle, your environment, your habitat, and just going out and smelling the fresh air, and you know, going underneath all the trees and swimming in fresh water, like just getting back out into nature and like appreciating all of that. That's like, you know, that really helped me recently. So it made me really sad because of the state I was in, but it helped a lot.
Yeah, I feel the
some
same.
ways,
Like sometimes if I've gone on like holiday, even if it's just like a few hours away from like where we live, that can even help, and just
therapeutic.
Like, especially like I love like going to the rainforest. Like one time I was having a really hard time and we went on holiday to see some family, and I wasn't really in the mood to socialize, but we went on like this rainforest walk, and it was so nice, and we looked at like all the waterfalls and took some photos and stuff, and just being outside, that does really help. Like nature is a big one.
Yeah, definitely. 100%, I agree.
Yeah, and I think like just having people who just like send you a message every once in a while and be like, hey, how are you doing? You know, it doesn't have to be like a big thing.
Yeah, like just a little short, short and sweet.
Yeah.
But I also think like just like going out of the way and seeing the person once or twice a month, or a week.
That's really good.
Be good. Or even if you have like multiple friends or multiple family members around, like just alternating it like once a week or something. I feel like.
Yeah, because I think when you're struggling, like you feel really alone, and like
it's
I know
really
like for me personally, like you're the only person I know like in my real life who has bipolar, and so like it could be like it's so hard sometimes because people can try to understand but they don't exactly relate, and so just like having like a couple of people around you who do actually show they go out of their way can be really helpful, and I try to do that with other people too. And then the last question is, so is there anything good about the illness? Because we've talked about a lot of the bad stuff.
Art!
Creativity.
Creativity.
That is a big one.
And that comes down to, you know, Alana here writes songs and songs which you've probably heard on our YouTube channel. And I've written a few poems about just from past experiences and so that is therapeutic, but it also it makes you feel like, you know, you can make something from this. Like just because you have this, you're not stuck.
All bad.
Yeah, it's not all bad. You're not stuck. You know, you've got all these opportunities. But it's just when it gets to that dark place, it's finding that middle ground support to remind you that you've got things, and you've got people, and you've got support, and there is people out there that understand, and there is help out there. So even if you're feeling the most alone person in the world, you never really are.
Yeah, like I guarantee there'll always be like at least one person in your life that does actually care about you, and that, you know, if you do reach out to them, they can help you. And like as we're finishing the video, I will say too that like just because like you have been diagnosed with something, it could be any mental illness, or even if you're just going through a hard time, like it can seem like this like death sentence, but it's really not. Yeah, it's cut out the other two are still going. It can seem like a death sentence, but it's really not. And like, I think like over time you can find ways to manage it. And like for me, like a lot of good things have come out of it. Like I've met you, and I've met a lot of other like friends and stuff because I've been in that mental health community, and I've learned to be like resilient and to have to push through and do things like we were talking about before. Like we've had to really work hard for stuff. Yeah, like we have to work so hard to get things done because we have this other thing that kind of tries to stop us. Yeah. But the creativity is a massive one because I feel like I'm way more creative and just able to like express myself. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this, and I hope you found this helpful. And sorry that it was like so long, but I hope that people can find this video helpful, and that if you have any questions, leave it down below in the comment section and I'll try to get back to you. So
and if you'd like to get to know us more,
yeah, we can
like,
do more
subscribe,
videos.
We can do more. We can get all fancy.
Yeah.
We can get creative. Just give us ideas.
Yeah, so if you want any other video ideas, send me a message or follow me on social media. I'll put the name like on the screen here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.
Somewhere there.
See you in my next video.